Hi, I am so excited to be with you today for Women of Worth Wednesday, and I apologize I'm a few minutes late. I had a miracle happen right before this video today, and I'm going to share it with you in the coming weeks, but I feel like the message that I knew I needed to share today needs to still happen, but I can't wait to share with you what happened that made me a few minutes late today. So welcome. If you're new to Women of Worth Wednesday, you haven't missed much because we just started last week, and I'm so happy to be working with High Five Life. They're amazing and sharing amazing inspirational, I said amazing twice, yep, inspirational content, and I feel honored to be a part of a women's group here on Wednesdays together at 11 o'clock. I hope that this video continues to be shared with women that you find of worth, and if you're a man and you've joined us today, then welcome. I hope that the messages that I share today will be helpful and supportive to you as well. So I'm in my office. I'm going to try to share in various parts of my home, and those are other side. These are my kids. I've got 2 children, and all those little pictures this side, other side, are key ordinances or progression in their life, just snapshot pictures. So that's kind of my inspiration today, is kids. I wanted to talk about being an imperfect mom, and I am definitely an imperfect mom. So I wrote a small little Mother's Day booklet called Mother to Mother this year. It came out, and you can still get it through Covenant, Amazon, Siegel, Deseret Book, but there's a section in here that I wanted to share today, and it's the women that were the mothers of the armies of Helaman. Excuse me for the cough. Hold on. I could feel that building, and I was trying to ignore it. So these women, I think we've held them up as the perfect, I like to call them Pinterest moms, right? Because in the scriptures it said, sorry, that cough's not going, that they're 2,000 stripling warriors. Stripling is a little different than what we think. It's not the muscle tan men of some of the paintings. They were like teacher's quorum, priest quorum, becoming men, pimply acne kids, right? And they were sent off to fight, and they were protected, and some were hurt, but they all lived. And one of the scriptures that we share the most of is in Alma 56:47, where we read that these boys were strong warriors and weren't hurt because they had been taught by their mothers that if they did not doubt, God would deliver them. And it goes on in verse 48 to say, we do not doubt, our mothers knew it. And that's the verse I wanted to talk about for a minute. I think that story is powerful because we see the influence of women and mothers specifically on these boys. But I think it's held up a standard of perfection that is a misinterpretation. So let's backtrack a little. Why were these boys, these stripling warrior boys, right, imperfect, not fully developed men, going off to war in the first place? It's because they had parents that were recovering addicts. So as you think about the backstory here, their parents had literally been addicted, especially their fathers, to fighting. And so they had buried their weapons of war so they wouldn't be tempted. And these boys had watched their parents literally change. They had changed their lives. They had become converted. And they were now covenant-keeping people. And even though they wanted to help defend the community they were living in, they knew they had already made a promise not to fight because it was too much of a temptation. It was their addiction. And these boys said, wait, we didn't make that promise because we didn't struggle with that addiction. And so we want to go out and we want to help and we want to fight. I share that because that means these boys had watched their parents be imperfect. They had watched their parents completely change their lives and go from addicted fighters to people that buried their weapons and honored those covenants. So I think oftentimes, especially if you're a mother or a grandmother, especially, I talk to a lot of grandmothers that feel heartsick that their kids maybe aren't making the choices they had hoped or didn't turn out the way they wanted. And they think it's their fault. Like if they had been the perfect mom and done the perfect family home evenings and cooked the perfect meals and, you know, had matching Easter dresses, their kids would have gone on missions, gotten married in the temple, and all would have worked out. And I'm just here to say to you that imperfect mothers are all God has to work with. And my kids have learned some valuable lessons in the power of the atonement because their parents made mistakes. And I remember as my son left to walk into the MTC to go on his mission in Zimbabwe, I panicked and thought, did I do all I could do to help prepare him to go into battle and be safe? And at the end of the day, I did my best, but it definitely wasn't perfect. And at the end of the day, I hope that in our families, we start becoming okay with not being perfect and apologizing and repenting and showing our kids what it looks like to mess up, fall down, repent, get back up, and change. And then fall down again, repent, get back up, and change. And to me, that's why these armies were strong. These boys, almost men boys, these stripling warriors, didn't doubt because they had seen the power of Christ change their parents. Their imperfect moms were the moms that didn't doubt. Why? Because their moms had been tested. And so my invitation to all of us today is that we start having conversations with our kids about our flaws. When we mess up as moms, when we lose our temper, when we get afraid, when we don't show up the way we want in our lives, instead of pretending like we've got it all figured out and thinking that's what's going to make our kids be powerful warriors, realize that our kids are powerful because they're sent in the last days, and they're powerful because they have parents that are willing to be imperfect. They're willing to testify of Christ, to talk of Christ. So that's my message for you today. I hope you share this video because I don't know a mom out there that doesn't struggle with mom guilt. I don't know a grandma out there that doesn't wonder if she did a good job. And then I don't also know women out there, I think if you're not a mom, you're still wondering, like, am I a good enough aunt? Or am I doing good enough at work? And we think sometimes that that means being strong means being perfect and never having a time in our lives where we struggle. Some of the strongest people I know are those that have overcome addictions. They understand the atonement in a way that's personal. The strongest missionaries out there are ones that have faced addictions and overcome. And why? Because they have proven Christ's power and grace in their life. So my invitation to you today is embrace your imperfections as a mom. Use that as a woman, as a grandmother, as an aunt, as a coworker to say, I'm not perfect, I'm a work in progress, and I'm willing to repent and keep trying. So we're out of time today, but I wanted to share just this gift that we want to give. This new DVD, it's a documentary that I'm a part of, and it's with some great people. Hank Smith, Julie Hinksty Azevedo, Ed Pinniger, Ryan Shoup, Susan Easton Black, George Durant, some great people, and it's about Find Your Happy. So if you'll share this video today and tag High Five Live or myself, I'd love to connect with you on social media, on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook under my name, Gaina Lynn. We'd love to make sure one of you receives this great DVD on Finding Your Happy. And we'll be back here next Wednesday, so mark your calendar. I love to have the live feedback, and we know that in the middle of the day doesn't always work. So thanks for joining us today, and make it a great week. And remember, you are a woman of worth.